Calls for change are a persistent cry in Tunisia. The country, which was seen as the only nation to have emerged peacefully from the Arab Spring in 2011, seems to be wrestling with its democratic transition. Elected fairly and with popular backing in 2019, the current president and candidate for re-election, Kais Saied, was a total outsider at the time, without so much as a program or a political party behind him.
He was the most popular populist candidate in 2019, and he was perceived as someone who was independent, a law professor, very straightforward, very clean, anti-corruption.
But in 2021, halfway through his term, he orchestrated what the opposition called a self-coup.
He centralized every power, he governed by decree, he suspended the activities of the parliament, he dismissed the prime minister, and after he wrote the new constitution.
That new constitution meant that Tunisia was no longer a parliamentary system, but a presidential one with almost all powers given to the head of state. The move was widely contested with street protests, but it remained popular with his supporters.
جيت باش نساند قيس سعيد في قراراته الكل لصالح تونس يلزم يخلوه يخدم كيف ما يحب هو يعرف الدستور ويعرف القانون ونظيف قبل كل شيء نظيف.
During his mandate, Kais Saied also dismantled the judiciary system. He fired all the judges and introduced a series of legal texts restricting freedom of expression. Many of his political opponents have been arrested under these new laws. One of them is known as Decree 54. It says that any person who knowingly produces, spreads, disseminates, sends or writes false news or even rumors with the aim of infringing the rights of others, harming public safety or national defense shall be punished by 5 years of imprisonment.
Especially targets social networks. Social networks are important in Tunisia. It's an important part of public opinion there. They decided to criminalize fake news, for so-called public order, but at the end it was used to repress freedom of expression. That's it. That's what happened. And I said that almost 2,000 citizens are jailed because of this decree.
Fast forward to 2024, election year. Only 3 candidates have been cleared by the Election Commission to run for presidency. One of them is the president. Another one has since been arrested and jailed. The Elections Commission says all the other rejected candidates simply failed to meet the new requirements, and although the Administrative Court ruled that 3 of them should be reinstated, the Election Commission said that its decision was final. Some analysts argue that this is Kais Saied's way to secure victory before the polls even open.
We can say that the president is in a powerful position because of selection of these specific candidates. So that's the real problem. The real problem is not tampering with the elections as you would see in some places where actually the elections are going to be clearly falsified. What we have is preconditions that are going to put the electoral process into a lot of question.
The Tunisian president has always justified his actions by saying it was the only way of reforming the country. Following his power grab, he said Tunisia was run by a mafia and pledged to fight corrupt politicians.
فاليوم تحملت المسؤولية ونتحمل المسؤولية التاريخية ومن يدعي أن الأمر يتعلق بانقلاب فليراجع دروسه في القانون.
And he remains a popular figure among Tunisians.
خرجنا اليوم لمساندة الرئيس قيس سعيد الرجل النظيف رجل دولة بامتياز واللي رفع راية تونس.
La Tunisie d'en bas, qui est aujourd'hui au cœur de la cible du président Kais Saied, continue à voir en lui le Deus ex machina, c'est l'homme providentiel qui va leur apporter vraiment les solutions attendues, c'est-à-dire lutte contre la corruption, contre les inégalités.
With hundreds of his critics behind bars, the opposition is struggling to rally support. And the rising cost of living is the highest priority in people's minds.
Tunisians have experienced rolling shortages of products or complete absence of basic staple products like couscous or sugar or flour, things that people cook with in their homes almost every day. since Sayed took over in his coup 3 years ago. So that's, of course, added to Tunisians' worries. It's made a lot of Tunisians feel like they don't have the time or the energy to even contemplate abstract political ideas like democracy.
Another important dynamic in the country is immigration. Instability in the broader Sahel region, coupled with porous borders, means that the country has seen a large influx of migrants from sub-Saharan Africa coming to Tunisia on the way to Europe. A €100 million deal was inked in July 2023 between Tunisia and the EU to stop the smuggling of migrants across the Mediterranean and reinforce Tunisia's border security.
So money is being shoveled in from the European Union to prop up Sayed's regime. Some of it has gone directly into Sayed's hands, despite the fact that there are real and well-documented systemic abuses of black migrants and refugees by the Tunisian security forces.
Allegations the security forces have denied. With an election looming, Kais Saied is still being propped up from within by the army and security forces, and from without by regional allies.
And also supported by neighbors, by the Algerian regime, by the European Union, some of the Gulf states, especially Saudi Arabia. Even with all of that, he still has some regional backing, and the idea is clear. I think many of these neighbors would like Tunisia to be stable, and they don't see any other way for Tunisia to be stable other than just continue with supporting Kais Saied as president.
14 years after the revolution, there are reasonable doubts over the fairness of this election. When Kais Saied came to power, 28 candidates were against him. This time, only one man, a former political ally, is allowed to walk the streets freely to campaign against him.